Even check this out, what has come in the hadith, أَقِيلُوا ذَوِي الْهَيْآتِ عَثَرَاتِهِمْ إِلَّا الْحُدُودِ. And he gives the people of good, upstanding behavior, give them their slips and their mistakes. And excuse them. Don't hold them to those mistakes. Except for the hudud. Except for the Islamically legislated punishments. There's no excusing a rich person. In fact, it's a sign of the way of the people of the past who were destroyed, that they would hold the poor to the hudud. They would establish hudud, Islamic punishments on the poor, and they would excuse the rich. In our religion, we're not allowed to excuse the rich from Islamic punishments. Yet, look at the distinction and be careful as you approach this distinction. يعني إذا أخطأ الإنسان الشريف الوجيه, a person who is noble and noteworthy and upright, في غير الحدود, he doesn't err or doesn't commit a crime or a fault in an issue that has a had, like he's stolen someone's property or committed zina or something like that, no excusing him, then preserve for him his upright status and excuse him. هذا الذي تقيله, this person that you excuse, إذا كان من الشرفاء, if he's from the upright people who are known for good behavior, فإقالتك إياه أعظم تربية, then you excusing him and letting him off the hook for him becomes the greatest form of lesson for him. The issue here is definitely a very delicate issue that requires careful thought. If a person who is of upstanding character, he commits an error in other than issues of hudud, the Shaykh says, فَاحْفَظْ عَلَيْهِ كَرَامَتَهُ وَأَقِلْهُ. That's the correct way to read it. وَأَقِلْهُ. And excuse him. Preserve his status for him and excuse him. هَذَا الَّذِي تُقِيلُهُ إِذَا كَانَ مِنَ الشُّرَفَاءِ. This one that you excuse, if he's from the upright people, the noble people, إِقَالَتُكْ إِيَّاهُ أَعْظَمُ تَرْبِيَةً. When you excuse him, it is the best kind of discipline, actually, the best kind of teaching. مِنْ أَن تَجْلِدَهُ أَلْفَ جَلْدَةٍ. Then you've given him 1,000 lashes, right? That he's a person of high status and you have excused him, right? لِأَنَّهُ كَمَا قِيلَ الْكَرِيمُ. It has been said, the generous person, إِذَا أَكْرَمْتَهُ مَلَكْتَهُ. A generous person, if you can be generous to him, then you own him. Amazing. The person who's known for generosity. If you extend generosity to him, then you own him. Meaning, he's putty in your hands or you have a status over him. Right? لكن لو وجد إنسان فاسق ماجن. You find a person that is continually disobedient, rebellious. فَهَذَا اشْدُدْ عَلَيْهِ الْعُقُوبَةَ وَأَعْزِرْهُ. As for this one, then hold him to the punishment, the one who's continually fasiq, right? Then punish him. Hold him to it and punish him. Meaning when you have the option, this is judgments in Islam, as is done in the court cases. When does a judge excuse someone? When does a judge have the option to apply a ta'zir, which is less than hudud? It is like someone has behaved offensively. He hasn't committed a crime that requires a mandated punishment, but maybe he needs discipline. Maybe he would be lashed. Maybe he would be fined. Maybe he would be jailed. All of this is from the bab of ta'zir, the disciplining that the judge can do in a case. Right? It's called ta'zir in Islamic fiqh. So, when you find a continuously rebellious person, then be firm with him and apply the punishment and punish him. وَلِهَذَا لَمَّا كَثَرَ شُرْبُ الْخَمْرِ. Look at the proof here. When drinking alcohol became very prominent في عهد عمر بن الخطاب, in the time of the Khalifa Umar ibn al-Khattab رضي الله عنه, ضَاعَفَ الْعُقُوبَةَ بَدَلَ 40 جَعَلَهَا 80. He doubled the punishment. Instead of it being 40 lashes, right, for drunkards, he made it 80. Because it had become so common. كذلك الحديث الصحيح. Similarly is the authentic hadith الذي رواه أهل السنن, the one that was collected by the collectors of the Sunnah like At-Tirmidhi and others. Whoever drinks, meaning alcohol, whoever is caught drunk, then lash him. ثم إن شرب فاجلدوه. Then if he's caught again drinking or being drunk, then lash him. Then if he's caught drinking again, lash him again. ثم إن شرب فاقتلوه. Then if he's caught again, what? Kill him. Right? Put him to capital punishment. drunkards that go on being drunk like this in Islam, according to some of the positions of the scholars, this hadith is applied as it is right there. That someone caught over and over again being a drunkard and does not learn from the earlier punishments, then he faces capital punishment, as they used to consider the drinking of alcohol or the intake of intoxicants in a way that never ends from a person as being a very, very dangerous person to the society. Because why? Al-khamru ummul khaba'ith. That intoxicants are the mother of all evils. They are the things that make every evil door open to a person once he becomes intoxicated. So then they would say, if a person slept once and became intoxicated, look at the way you deal with him. Then lash him. A second time, a third time. Once it becomes to this ongoing over and over again, then what? فَقْتُلُوهُ. Then put him to capital punishment. The Shaykh Muhammad bin Saalih al-Uthaymeen, in other books that I recall, in a book called Makarim al-Akhlaq, Good Character, one of his finest small booklets, he mentioned a more rational discussion of this topic, which is easier for us to understand. I ask you to think about two cases of someone who was in a car accident and he ran over a child, killed a child. May Allah protect us from all of these kinds of things. Our children, may Allah protect us from doing that kind of thing. Ameen. So he ran over a child. Two cases, two different kinds of drivers. One driver known to be precise and careful. Seatbelt, speed limit, full stops at stop signs, follows every step for precaution. And he slipped, he made an error of judgment. It's the only time you ever knew him to make an error in driving, and it just so happened to be a big disaster. Versus the one, speeds, blows past stop signs, goes through red lights, he's got speeding tickets and violations on him all the time. When advised, he says, I got full coverage, don't worry about me. Full coverage. Whatever you need, it's covered. Whatever happens. This person runs over the child. Which one are you going to forgive? Everybody should be in agreement here. I'm forgiving the one who's known to be upright and drive carefully and take care of his vehicle and take all steps to be safe and to keep everyone safe around him. And the one who says, what? Have full coverage. Don't worry. If I hit somebody, it's covered. It's full coverage. Don't worry about it. Full coverage on the other car. Not permissible, by the way. Right? It's not, insurance in general is not permissible. When you're forced to, because you're not allowed to drive except with it, then you take what? The lowest level of liability that you can take. That's what's obligatory on you. When you're forced into something haram, what do? The very least of it that will get you out of being coerced. You may not continue and add on to that. So when I say full coverage, add to that, he's also disobedient. He's also involved in riba voluntarily, not required by the law. So he has full coverage on the other car. So this person, careless, reckless, when advised, he doesn't listen. When it comes to the family of the dead child, would you advise them to excuse him, or would you advise them to hold him to the punishment that they can, whatever punishment they can apply to him through the court system? You're going to say, this one, punish him. He needs to be stopped. The other one, that was an honest mistake. He is a good person. You would come to that family and defend this person. You would say, we don't know of any reckless behavior from this man. And he's been crying. Obviously, this man would be upset and crying that he's harmed a family, he's caused the loss of life, and so on. So there's a great argument in favor of the upright person, right? Because of his history and who he is, versus the one who's continuously rash, careless, harsh, transgressive, harmful, and so on. With this example, this is what he mentioned in his book, Makarim al-Akhlaq. We see the book of good character. We see the balance of Islam. From the Jews were required that whenever someone committed an offense, they had to have the full extent of the law applied to them. The Christians, the opposite. Whenever someone committed an offense, they were required to be forgiven. So Islam came as the balance between these two extremes, right? The extreme of what? Being forced to, or applying the law, applying punishments in each and every case without any forgiveness. And the blanket order to forgive everyone. No? Islam is in the middle when it makes sense and when it is in the best interest of the entire community to forgive a person, then that person should be forgiven. When he is known as a good person, when he is known as careful, and it was an honest mistake, and so on. And when a person is known to be rash and harmful, then hold him accountable, and that's in the best interests of the society. You may prevent a person from killing another child in this case, or killing other people with his rash behavior. So in this case, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, we have this balance. We cannot come with this flexible, beautiful, balanced fit and say, this is double standards. This guy's forgiven and this guy's punished. Why is that? It's not as easy as looking at it like that. This guy is forgiven because of his history, because of who he is, because of his normal mode, because of what everyone knows about him, as our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised us. And this one is held accountable because of his history, because of his rashness, because of his harm, his continual harm, right? That is fairness. Again, not equality, but fairness. Fairness. Each and every person gets his right.